You know, sometimes I look back at that moving truck, overflowing with everything I owned, and I still can't quite believe it happened. My own mother, my flesh and blood, told me she couldn't afford 2 tickets to a concert I had been dreaming of attending with my sister for months, practically our entire lives. But it wasn't just about the concert, was it? It was about the grand gesture, the favoritism that had been simmering under the surface for as long as I could remember, finally boiling over into an undeniable act of preference. Was I wrong for what I did next, for taking matters into my own hands, for cutting ties in such a definitive, dramatic way? Tell me honestly, would you have done the same thing? It all started, really, when my sister, Sarah, and I were kids. We were always different. She was the delicate one, the one who caught colds easily, the one who needed more attention. I was the sturdy one, the one who could entertain herself, the one who was so independent. My parents, especially my mom, always seemed to orbit around Sarah, ensuring her comfort, catering to her whims. I remember once, we both wanted the same toy. Sarah cried, and within minutes, the toy was hers, while I was told to be the bigger person. It was a pattern that repeated itself through our childhoods and into our early adulthoods. Sarah got the newer clothes, the extra pocket money, the softer treatment when she messed up. I got the hand-me-downs, the lectures, and the unspoken expectation to always understand, always defer. It wasn't malicious, not overtly, but it was a constant, subtle drip of Sarah first. Sarah needs, Sarah wants. I tried to ignore it, to rationalize it, to tell myself that every family had its dynamics, and this was just ours. But it ate at me, little by little, chipping away at my sense of worth within my own family. I buried myself in my studies, in my friendships, building a life outside the family unit where I felt seen and valued. After high school, I worked my way through college, taking on multiple jobs and saving every penny. Sarah, on the other hand, went to a state university closer to home, with a hefty contribution from our parents, living in a nice apartment they helped furnish. I never asked for help, and it was never offered. I just figured that was how it was. My path was my own, built by my own 2 hands. The concert, though, that was supposed to be our asterisk thing. Sarah and I had always shared a love for this particular band. We'd spent countless hours in our youth listening to their albums, dreaming of seeing them live. When they announced their reunion tour and a show in a city a few hours away, we were ecstatic. This was it, our childhood dream, finally within reach. We talked about it for weeks, planning outfits, reminiscing about our favorite songs. My mom even got in on the excitement, saying how wonderful it would be for us to go together. It'll be a sister trip. She'd beamed. I started saving up for my ticket, knowing it would be expensive. Sarah said she would too, but then a few weeks before the tickets went on sale, she mentioned she was a little short on cash. No big deal, I thought. We'd figure it out. Then came the day tickets went on sale. They sold out in minutes. I was devastated. Sarah was too, or so I thought. A few days later, my mom called me. Her voice was hesitant, almost apologetic. "Honey," she began, "I have some news about the concert tickets." My heart leaped. Had she managed to find some? "Yes," she continued, "I managed to get a ** ticket." My excitement deflated slightly. A ticket? For who? I asked, a knot forming in my stomach. "For Sarah," she said, quickly adding, "I know you both wanted to go, but they were so expensive, and honestly, I just couldn't afford to. Sarah really needed this, you know, with everything she's been going through. Sarah had a slight cold last week. I had just finished working 60 hours a week for 2 months straight to cover my own rent and student loans. The injustice hit me like a physical blow. Not only had she only bought one ticket, but she hadn't even considered buying it for both of us, or even offering to split the cost. It was just for Sarah, because Sarah needed it more. I remember standing in my tiny apartment, the phone still pressed to my ear, a deafening silence on the other end as I tried to process what I had just heard. My mom's voice broke through. "Are you still there, sweetie? You're being very quiet." Quiet? I was a volcano about to erupt. But I didn't erupt, not then. I simply said, "Yes, Mom, I'm here. That's nice for Sarah." My voice was flat, devoid of emotion. She rambled on for a few more minutes about how happy Sarah was, how much she deserved it, how I was so understanding. I just nodded, even though she couldn't see me, and eventually I ended the call. The anger, the hurt, the sheer unfairness of it all simmered inside me for days. I replayed the conversation over and over, trying to find a justification, a reason why my own mother would so blatantly choose one child over the other. But there was none. It was just another instance in a lifetime of instances. This one, however, felt like the final straw. It wasn't about the concert anymore. It was about respect. It was about being seen. It was about being loved equally. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. I could swallow it, as I always had, and pretend it didn't hurt. Or I could finally, irrevocably, stand up for myself, even if it meant shattering the fragile peace of my family. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have let it go, or would you have fought back against years of favoritism? The decision didn't come easily. I wrestled with it for days, the anger warring with a deep, seated desire for familial harmony. But the memory of my mom's dismissive tone, the blatant disregard for my feelings, kept replaying in my mind. This wasn't just a slight, it was a pattern, a message sent repeatedly throughout my life. Asterisk, you are less important, asterisk. And I was tired of receiving that message. I was tired of being the understanding one, the independent one, the one who always had to make do. I deserved better. I deserved to be cherished, not an afterthought. The breaking point arrived a week later. My mom called, bubbling with excitement about Sarah's upcoming concert trip. She was going on about hotel rooms and what Sarah would wear, completely oblivious to the wound she had inflicted. As she talked, something inside me snapped. I envisioned Sarah, basking in the glow of the stage, while I was stuck here, nursing a lifetime of slights. "No, not this time, Mom," I interrupted, my voice calm, almost eerily so. "I need to talk to you about something important." She paused, sensing the shift in my tone. "What is it, sweetie?" "It's about the house," I began. "You know how I've been helping out with the mortgage payments for the past 5 years." There was a slight hesitation on her end. My parents had been struggling financially for a while, and after I graduated and started working, I had been contributing a significant portion of my income to help them keep the family home. It wasn't a small amount. It was enough to cover a substantial part of their monthly payments. "Yes, of course, honey. We're so grateful for that," she said, a hint of unease creeping into her voice. "Well," I continued, "I've decided I can no longer contribute to the mortgage." A stunned silence met my words. Then a gasp. "What? Why not? You know we need that money. Your father isn't working as much, and Sarah's expenses." Her voice trailed off, realizing the irony of her statement. "Sarah's expenses," I echoed, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. "Funny you should mention Sarah's expenses, Mom. because it seems you can afford a concert ticket for her, a hotel room for her, and whatever else she needs, but you can't afford to get me a ticket for a concert we both loved, something we dreamed of doing together. The dam broke. All the years of resentment, of being overlooked, poured out. I spoke calmly, but with an unwavering certainty that shook her. You always tell me you can't afford things for me, but you always find a way for Sarah. You told me you couldn't afford 2 tickets, but you managed to buy one, for her, not for us, for her. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. I could almost hear her processing my words, the weight of them finally landing. When she finally spoke, her voice was small, defensive. That's not fair. You always exaggerate. Sarah just needs a little more help. And what about me, Mom? I countered, my voice rising slightly. What about my needs, my dreams, my childhood, where I was constantly told to be the bigger person while Sarah got everything she wanted? This isn't just about a concert ticket, Mom. This is about a lifetime of being second best. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the next part. So, I'm done. I'm done being the bigger person. I'm done subsidizing a family that clearly doesn't see me as an equal. As of next month, my contributions to the mortgage stop. She started to cry then, real, desperate sobs. Please, no, you can't do this to us. We'll lose the house. Sarah will be devastated. Sarah will be devastated. I repeated, a cruel edge to my voice. Maybe Sarah can ask you to buy her a house then, just like you bought her concert ticket. I hung up the phone. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding, but beneath the turmoil, there was a strange sense of liberation. It was done. The conversation I had avoided for years was finally had. The fallout was immediate and explosive. My dad called, furious, accusing me of abandoning my family, of being selfish. Sarah texted me, a flurry of angry emojis and accusations, calling me a horrible sister. My extended family, hearing a one-sided version of the story from my mom, sided with them, sending me guilt, tripping messages and passive-aggressive comments on social media. I blocked them all. I was an island, but for the first time in my life, I felt like an island of my own making, an island I chose to inhabit. I didn't back down. I continued to pay my own way, saved aggressively, and within a few months, I had enough for a down payment on a small studio apartment. The day I signed the lease, I felt a surge of triumph. This was mine, all mine, no strings attached, no hidden expectations, no favoritism. My parents, true to my prediction, struggled. Without my contributions, they couldn't keep up with the mortgage. They eventually had to sell the family home, a house filled with memories, both good and bad. Sarah ended up having to move into a smaller, cheaper apartment, her needs no longer being met by my parents' dwindling resources. The family unit, as I knew it, disintegrated. I heard through the grapevine that they resented me deeply, that they blamed me entirely for their misfortune. But I didn't regret it, not for a second. The freedom I felt, the sense of self-respect I had reclaimed, was worth every single accusation, every single tear. I had finally prioritized myself, and it felt right. I furnished my new apartment slowly, carefully, each piece a symbol of my independence. I remember looking around one evening, surrounded by my things, by the life I was building for myself, and realizing that sometimes the biggest acts of love are the ones we show ourselves. The moving truck, the one I packed with all my belongings, symbolized not an ending, but a new beginning. It was the moment I finally got the room I deserved, a room in my own life, built on my own terms. So that's my story. It's messy, it's dramatic, and it's still something I think about often. Sometimes I wonder if I was too harsh, if there was another way, But then I remember the concert ticket, the decades of being overlooked, and I know I did what I had to do. My mom said they couldn't afford 2 tickets, and in the end, my sister got the room at home, and I got a moving truck. But that moving truck led me to a life where I am truly valued by myself. I hope my story resonates with some of you, and perhaps offers a different perspective on what it means to stand up for yourself, even against your own family. If you were on my side, if you understand why I had to do what I did, please give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, where I delve into the deepest, most shocking corners of human relationships and decisions. And most importantly, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. Do you think I was right? Would you have done the same? I read all your comments, and your perspectives truly mean the world to me. I'll see you all in the next story.